Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, everyone, here we are just a few minutes before market close on Friday, August 20th. We're going to take our daily look at SoFi. Just something before we get into today's video. I wanted to do an FAQ after this, which if I have time to, I'm still going to do. I'm doing this video a little earlier than I had wanted to. We have a friend of the family who went into hospice last night, and things have deteriorated more quickly than expected, and so we need to leave to visit that person. And so, I'm rushing this video out now. The other thing then is I don't know if things unexpectedly prolong in any way, shape, or form. Monday or Tuesday's video might be delayed or might not come out until late, or I might have to skip them. I'll put a post on my YouTube channel and on my Twitter with sort of an update if I'm not going to be able to make a video on those days. And if I have time, I'll at least sort of screenshot the chart and provide any thoughts that I have. But just kind of know that if the next few days, the first few days of next week are a little weird or I'm absent, that's why. I will absolutely be back. It's a temporary thing, and we'll go from there. So SoFi, as you see, 14.14 at the moment, and so for all intents and purposes, it'll likely end the day right about there. So a nice green day to finish things off. We sort of have a couple of green candles surrounding this red candle in between. So I mean, certainly nothing magical, nothing to be kind of popping the champagne bottles about, but still better than many of the alternative days that we've seen in the past. And volume keeping pace with the average. So, I'm very happy with this volume on green days. As I had mentioned in videos weeks past, I would like to see this more in the 18-20 million range, especially on these green days, but I will take this for the time being. We do see also on the MACD, the best bullish case scenario here. I don't know if it'll play out like this, but we do see the MACD making a slightly higher low, or definitely a higher low, if it's able to continue with this bullish or at least stabilized trend and kill this bearish momentum very, very quickly. That would actually be pretty impressive compared to some of these previous big bearish drawdowns that we've seen in the past. That said, I don't know if it's going to happen. It's going to be a day-to-day kind of situation to see if that can even play out or not. But if it does, if we can get a bullish crossover here, even if it's just sort of like a flat one, but it kills this bearish momentum on the histogram that quickly, that to me would be, potentially an indication that there is possibility of a floor being established and or a trend reversal coming. Again, that will play out next week and we'll see what happens. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but that's just to note this MACD bearish momentum is certainly slowing down, and the RSI is creeping up. It's still very, very low. It's not quite to 39. So the big test, like I always say, will be what it does when it reaches the midline, whenever that is, who knows. But so it's got a ways to go to get there, but that'll be the big test in the days ahead if it continues to get some bullish pressure. And like I said, I don't know if it will. Obviously, we're a sea of red here for the last couple of months, so this could very quickly turn against us. We could be testing that 1305, in no time. But we'll just have to wait and see. But I want to point out some possible bullish factors, or at least stabilizing factors, without coming across as though this is an overly hopeful situation, because definitely SoFi is in a big bear trend at the moment, for sure. As you see, it's situated very concretely underneath all of the moving averages. So no doubt about that one. So that's what I see on the chart and on the indicators at the moment. Now, if we flip over to the data here, at this point, we have nearly a 100% return potential based on the analyst price targets. But we've mentioned that before. You certainly know that. The short interest continues to creep up. So this is the first day since we've been watching this since the ticker change that we've seen utilization in the 30s. Okay, so shorts continuing to come in, getting very, very close to that 10% threshold at which I start to say this is a high short. This is starting to be a high short interest that could put undue distorted selling pressure on the public-facing side of the market, meaning the marketplace as we see it here will appear as though there's more selling pressure than there actually is because short sellers are coming in and distorting the supply and demand nexus and making it appear as though there's much more supply than there is demand, whether that's the case or not. So we'll keep an eye on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if next week we get it over 10%. I mean, it's just been moving in that direction. As you can see here, estimated short interest by Ortex, that's a very steep uptick, and that's what we've been looking at day over day over day. Big short interest changes from day to day to day. Still nothing to me that's sort of triggering undue outsized impact yet. But like I said, once we get over that 10%, which is we're knocking on the door, we're just about to turn the corner there, then it'll start to really kind of raise my I'll start throwing up the alarm bells. I guess I already am, right? But just something to certainly keep in mind. Now, we might have to slap a refresh on this. The NASDAQ institutional holdings are still coming. Okay, so we're just still shy of 40%. I don't know if this is the same as we saw yesterday. They may have not updated it. There might not have been anything to update, or maybe this is very, very close to where we were yesterday. But I just remember yesterday saying that we're shy of 40% yesterday as well. If we look at the order flow today, we see a ton of large scale inflow. See here, 22.54% large scale inflow. That's enormous. And that's, another data point that could lead us to believe maybe there is some stabilization here that will sort of see this MACD making higher lows play out for real. But, we'll have to wait until we get there. There's no cheat code that we can foretell the future, but we'll be here to experience it together. Now, before we leave, swaggy stocks here. I am not on the right ticker clearly, but if we go to SoFi to check out Max Payne and see about how close we're going to end, this is something that we've been tracking. Max Payne, $15. We're certainly not going to make it to $15, or if we do, hey, congrats. I'll be celebrating with you once I see the news after the market closes, but we're only 7 minutes before market close, so I don't think that we're going to quite get there. So this was something that we had been talking about, market makers pegging the price to the Max Payne, and wanted to kind of test it out in real time. If you go onto Swaggy's site and scroll down, you can also see the Max Payne historical data. You can see it on the 1 month time frame, and you can just compare. He does it every day. You could just go to Fridays to look, because that's when the options would be expiring. So you could just target Fridays, which today is one, the 13th was one, 13th of August, the 6th of August, so on and so forth. And if you want to look at the 3, 6, and 1 year, obviously for tickers other than SoFi, then you could just put in your name and email address and create a free account that I have here, like you see, and you'll have access to those time frames as well. It doesn't cost anything, but you do have to create an account. Okay, well, I'm going to try to record this quick, I think it's 4-question Q&A, and tack that on to the second half of the video. So I will see you in a minute. All right, folks, so here I am to just answer some of the FAQs that come up, mostly on the SoFi comments. 1 or 2 of them, I think maybe just one of them doesn't specifically have anything to do with SoFi, but I'm just adding it in here. And I'm in just the plainest room possible with probably one of the most horrible lighting setups possible. But like I said, we got to rush out of here. And so I'm just trying to get this out at the moment with whatever space I could quickly run into. But the 4 questions that I have. So the first one, have your price targets changed? So I get this one a lot, especially since the drawdown on SoFi, through the 20s and now through the teens and now situated in the low teens. And so my position for the moment is I haven't changed my price targets that I set out in the SoFi price targets video. That said, the date at which I'm planning to reevaluate them is after the Q3 earnings. As I'm sure you know from looking at analyst price targets just out in the world, because we've also covered them on the channel, and we talk then about them sort of upgrading them, downgrading them, that sort of thing. So it's a very common thing to put out price targets, and then as you get more information or as you get new information, to adjust those price targets accordingly. So you make those price targets based on the best information that you have at the time when you are researching that, and that includes the stock price at that time, right? And so how far out of reach your target is dependent upon the stock price, the vision of the company, who is at the company, the stats as far as you as just a member of the public know them, and a lot of those things then come to light at earnings calls and things like that. And so then you get new information and then you need to adjust it. So obviously there's been a huge change in the price of SoFi since I put those price targets out. And as you know, probably if you saw the earnings call video that I did, I really, really would like to see them focus on a big uptick in members. And I kind of have the feeling that they don't share that idea. And that's fine. I could be wrong on that. But I think that that's going to materially impact the ability for them to hit at least like those earliest price targets that I put as quickly as they could, because I don't know that they're going to have the sort of like ubiquitousness in the market as something like Robinhood does, just by name recognition alone, because of how they've focused on capturing users. And again, I'm not saying that that's the right thing, but I was really thinking that they were going to come in and really just grab a bunch of users, and that was going to help drive that price up really, really quickly. I could be totally wrong on that. It could go up quickly regardless, and there could be things like the bank charter that come in. Galileo could have just incredible growth as well, and maybe some of the other services, loans coming back at the beginning of next year. But I want to see what Q3 says, and then I'll put out a revision on the price targets. But those things are always in flux. So keep that in mind, and always have your own targets in mind too. Just because these are my price targets doesn't mean anything. These are the price targets at which I'm making my decisions based on, but you should make your decisions based on what you think that the price targets are for whatever time frame that you're planning to trade these things on as well. So second question, are you adding long-term positions on the dip? I have not been. I've tried to be good about telling folks when I take and when I exit SoFi positions. If you go back previously, you would have encountered those on the run-up prior to the merger dates and the run-up to earnings. So I had talked then about some positions that I had. I had talked then about closing out those positions that I had because those were purely hype plays. What I have now are my longer-term shares that I'm accumulating, but I haven't added to them at the moment. I want to see that transition into a show of price strength and sort of like figuring out where the floor is. And then I also have leap options, just one that I will probably average down on though in the near future, and I'll let you know when that is. But that is a call option that expires in January of 2023. And this is just sharing for the sake of sharing. Again, it's not because I want anyone to be copying my trades. My goals aren't your goals. My risk tolerance isn't your risk tolerance. This is just me sharing for the sake of sharing. Just like the whole reason that I started this channel was just to share and gather and give information, or sometimes information, sometimes just purely opinions. All right, why are short sellers targeting SoFi? So, I mean, I know that we just looked at like this big increase lately, and the next part of the Weird Weird World series, so part 3 of the Weird Weird World, will get into this a bit heavier, but I do think that there's some reasons why we should be extra aware of what short sellers might be looking to come in to do to SoFi, and I'll draw those connections in that. But I mean, the other just very much more practical side of things is they're looking to profit. So they see a stock that's getting beaten down really badly because a lockup expires, and then they see a stock getting beaten down really badly because that's how folks are reacting to earnings, plus another lockup expires. And so just like folks who want to try to profit from the uptrend as something is having a bullish run, not SoFi, but as a different ticker is having a bullish run and bulls or folks who take long positions primarily want to ride that wave. Short sellers want to do the same thing, as far as I know. They want to take advantage of the trend. And what's that trope? The trend is your friend until the end, right? So until that trend changes, you should just be sort of trading that trend. Now I know that that's not always the case, and we're often looking for trend reversals and stuff like that. But it is certainly, it can be easier to grab bullish trades and go long in an overall bullish market, right? Versus trying to catch a falling knife and saying, when is this going to reverse? So, that's the that's the brief answer. I was going to say the short answer, but that's the brief answer. Is I think they're just trying to profit off of the trend. But I do think that there's potentially more to it, but that will be easier to unpack in part 3 of the Weird World series. And the last one, do you have a Discord? So I get this one a lot. No, I do not have a Discord. I am a part of some Discords, but I generally am rarely checking in on them. I don't like necessarily the Wall Street betsification of everything, where people jump in and they just feel that it's a place to talk as angrily and crassly as possible to each other. To me, that's not valuable discourse. And I also really hate, I know it can be challenging for people who have gone through the growth curve, and they see newbies or noobs or new folks come in and ask questions that they think are dumb, and they just jump on them and just make them feel really bad. And I understand it from the perspective of you want them to go do the homework themselves. But I think you also have to keep in mind that part of the way that this whole subculture has evolved, meaning retail traders and the huge influx in retail traders has evolved, is people have gotten used to these forums where they can go in and try to get answers. So to me, that's just a different way in which they're trying to, it's just they're taking that tactic instead of Googling it. I don't necessarily know that it's laziness. But I understand that can be frustrating, but I don't like how people jump on them and jump down their throats. I think it's a very poor way to communicate, and I don't think that you represent yourself well when you're the one who's dishing that out. And I don't think that you're just giving the other person not even a good experience, but just a fair experience, just from human to human. I think it's a really poor way to communicate, and I don't think that you'd be like that to that person in real life. And because you're hiding behind an anonymous username and a keyboard, you get just this sheer vitriol, and it's just gross to me. I really despise it. And I see that that's what a lot of Discords seem to devolve into. I'm sure there's ones that don't. But on the other hand, I think the ones that don't probably required a lot of policing, and I don't want to be a Discord policeman. That's not anything that's of interest to me. So that's my long explanation as to why I don't have a Discord. That said, I do have some things in the works that I will be rolling out, but right now I just have the channel that you're seeing here and the newsletter, which I'll link in the description below if you want to join the newsletter. I just send 1 or 2 out a week. First week, which was 2 weeks ago, I sent out 2, and then this past week I just sent out 1. Yeah, but there will be more stuff coming. There'll be more places where we can congregate and different things that I'm going to offer to folks who are interested. And I don't know if anyone will be interested in any of it. Like I said, I got into SoFi IPOE just because I thought it was interesting. I was never a big SoFi bull. I didn't consume SoFi products. I wasn't bought in oh my goodness, this is the next great company. I just thought it was an interesting predicament, to be honest, that the stock was in at that time as it was IPOE. And then I see a lot of those things carrying through to SoFi. And then as I did get to know SoFi a bit, I started to understand whoa, there could be something really special here. And so then that bought me in a little bit. But I am still more on the side of, I think that SoFi is in an interesting predicament, given all of the different factors. And if you don't know what I'm saying when I say that, I can talk about it in another video. But I am still more just interested in that than I am a huge proponent or bull on SoFi. So if you if that surprises you, then so be it. But that's just the truth. those are the things that I really dig into, the things that I'm just like, whoa, this is weird, this is wacky. Let me try to see what happens here. And that's always the case, right? It's like you come up with these theories of what you think is going to happen based on what you see. And the weirder it is, the more interesting it is to come up with what you think will happen, because there's so many different ways that it can go. And then to actually track it to be able to see what happened. So where did my prediction go? Was I way off, and why, and what actually happened? And I think that my hope is that it makes me better in the future, that I will have gone through this weird time frame with this really interesting stock, and just seeing the different permutations, the different ways that things kind of evolve, and where they go, that will make me be able to sort of dissect and digest these things better in the future. So those are my long-winded answers, but I have to run. I, as always, really appreciate you watching, and I hope that you're enjoying the videos. Okay, well, everyone, have a good weekend. I have a couple of other videos that I'm going to try to get out over the course of the weekend. I don't know if it'll be later tonight or over the weekend, but I want to do an update on my $100 account series, and an update on the tickers that I put out in the newsletter that I had mentioned. I want to do a video recap of those so folks can see, oh, if I had received this newsletter, what would I have gotten in there, and how did those things actually play out? Would there have been any value there to me? Okay, well, that will do it for now. I will see you in the next video.